Inspired from a novel written by Dmitry Glukhovsky, Metro Last Light brings the player into the ruins of post-apocalyptic Moscow. This action first-person shooter is developed by 4A Games and published by Deep Silver. The events in the game carry off directly from Metro 2033.
You killed everyone, and now I'm alone.
The setting takes place in Moscow 20 years after atomic bombs wiped out everything on the surface. All survivors are living in the underground tunnels of the Metro. You control the brave protagonist, Artyom, who is trying to stop what remains of humanity from killing each other for control and power. On the journey, Artyom will make friends and experience betrayal. The narrative is great, and the character personalities are diverse.
On the ground, you bitch!
The environment and atmosphere look and feel amazing. As you explore the different sections of the Metro, it's interesting to see what creative ways the survivors have made use of the scraps left behind to create their homes. Due to interesting dialogue, the game makes you want to linger around these areas of Metro to eavesdrop on the residents' conversations.
How do you know we're going to catch fish, not cancer?
There are times you'll have to venture onto the surface of ruined Moscow, and it's a completely different world up there. With the constant fight for oxygen, health, and strong mutant threats, things can get pretty intense in these parts of the game, and I like it. On top of that, the game lets you wipe mutant blood and guts off of your gas mask during battle. Yes, I know it's simple, but it's small touches like these that makes the player become more immersed in the game. Only one complaint though. I do wish the game was more open world, as it's very linear. I'm not expecting the amazing sandbox style of Fallout 3, but there really isn't much exploring to do in the ruins of Moscow or in the Metro. One thing that I definitely want to commend Metro Last Light for is the paranormal experience it gives you. Throughout the game, Artyom will be struck with hallucinations of ghosts and tragic memories of the dead. All of that, coupled with the creepy sound effects, will scare the crap out of you. Oh yeah, and if you have a phobia for spiders, prepare yourself, because there's lots of them. Alright, now let's talk about the gameplay. Ammo is scarce throughout the Metro, and because they're so precious, it's also used as currency. If you want to survive, you're going to have to scavenge for items and conserve them for trade. Weapons can be traded and upgraded at shops. There isn't a large variety of weapons, just the typical shotgun, rifles, and pistols, along with their respective attachments. As I was playing the game, I was hoping I would eventually come across a special weapon, since the game does take place well in the future. But I guess all the high-tech equipment were destroyed? However, there are secondary weapons such as throwing knives, claymores, and grenades. Throwing knives are very useful for situations that require stealth. It's nice that the game also lets you retrieve it from the body of your enemy. Much like some of the recent story-based first-person shooters, there's a karma system tied in with stealth. Artyom will be given a choice of whether to kill a guard or to knock them out once you successfully sneak up on them. Depending on your actions, the ending will vary. One problem with the stealth gameplay, though, is the fact that you can't drag dead bodies around. There are times in the game where Artyom must approach an area full of guards, but because they do not always venture off into a corner, their body will almost always get spotted after you kill them. As a result, everyone else is on alert, and the stealth experience pretty much ends there. On a brighter note, Metro Last Light does bring something new to the table, which is the ability to unscrew light bulbs so that Artyom becomes less visible. This definitely adds more depth to the stealth gameplay. Interesting thing, this is actually one of the recent FPS games I've played that don't have a physical list of objectives for the player to follow. Rather, the tasks and destinations simply require your own intuition and exploration. But since the game is quite linear, you can't get lost. There was just this one part in the game where the entrance into the next area was a bit ambiguous. Got me a tad bit annoyed looking for it, but it was no big deal. Now, before I get into Metro Last Light's replay value, I'm aware that there's quite a controversy going on with Ranger Mode being only attainable through paid DLC. I'm going to be blunt. It's BS. First off, it's standard practice for all action FPS games to have 3 difficulties: easy, normal, and hard. If not, then at least normal and hard. I find being able to choose difficulty levels for genres like first-person shooters is imperative. I mean, gamers around the world have varied gaming experiences. Some have more and some have less. Having multiple difficulty levels allow more players to enjoy the game. Sadly, Metro Last Light only has one mode, called Original. And if you want to play the more challenging mode, you'll have to pay an extra $5 for it. Some may argue that it isn't a mandatory purchase, but is this really a trend that we as gamers want to see in the future? Not me. Alright, now to sum it all up, weapon controls and movement are fluent, and the stealth is decent. I'll give gameplay and controls an 8. The architect of the various areas of Metro was interesting, and the level of creepiness the game adds is perfect. However, I wish the areas were less linear. I'll give graphics and atmosphere an 8.5. The narrative is interesting, and the character personalities are strong. I'll give story and characters a 9. The excellent voice acting really fleshes out the characters. I also like the good choice of music and sound effects, which can unexpectedly shift the mood. I'll give sound a 9. As I've mentioned before, after you completed the game in original mode, the only replay value was Ranger mode. Disappointingly, you have to dish out extra cash to play this mode. I'll give replay value a 7. And this concludes my review for Metro Last Light. If you liked it, please comment, rate, and subscribe. And until then, I'll see you guys next time.